Hi, I'm Crystal, and I'm the director of XP3 High School Strategy here at Orange. When we first launched XP3, things looked pretty different than they do today. But one thing has always stayed the same, and that's the core philosophy and the strategy of the XP3 curriculum. In fact, that strategy shows up right in our name. But before I tell you what XP3 stands for, let me back up a little. Because if we're going to talk strategy and philosophy, we have to start with something Jesus said, something that shapes everything we do here at Orange. You know it, of course, it's Jesus' response to the question, "Teacher, which is the greatest commandment?" And Jesus said, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength and all your mind. And love your neighbor as yourself." Did you catch it? Love God, love your neighbor as yourself. All three are connected. We call these the three vital relationships because when Jesus says something matters most, well, you don't disagree. And they're the three relationships we want every student to experience: their relationship with God, their relationship with themselves, and their relationship with others. Sometimes we talk about these three relationships as though they're dials that can be turned up or turned down at various points in a kid's life. So picture this. First, you have the dial representing a kid's relationship with God. We call this the wonder dial. It's a wonder for who God is and for what He's created. Second, you have your dial representing a kid's relationship with themselves. We call this one discovery because it's about discovering who God created them to be. And third, you have a dial representing a kid's relationship with others. We call that the passion dial. Passion for community, for serving others, and for being part of God's big story. So wonder, discovery, passion. God, self, others. These are the three vital relationships that we want to see every teenager experience. They're the three dials that we want to be constantly turning and adjusting throughout their whole lives. And yes, I said their whole lives, not just high school. Throughout a kid's life, the level of these dials needs to be adjusted. For example, it's pretty difficult to talk to a preschooler about compassion or the value of community. But by the time that preschooler gets to middle school, you're going to want to make sure the discovery dial is turned way up because middle schoolers are desperate to discover their own identity. And in high school specifically, we believe the passion dial needs to be turned way up as you mobilize your students to go into the world. See, they want to know that they can matter and what kind of impact they'll have in the world. So with XP3 High School, while you're going to see us address all three dials on a regular basis, you might notice that we pay a special attention to the passion dial. As you become familiar with XP3 High School, you'll see this terminology pop up quite a bit. For example, every series we create is identified by one of those dials. If we're going to do a series on growing our faith or practicing spiritual habits, we'll identify it as a wonder series. A series about identity or making wise choices would be a discovery series. And a series about compassion, community, service, all of those would be passion series. So now that you know the strategy, have you figured out what XP3 stands for? Well, it stands for the three things we want every kid to experience. We want them to experience a love for God that will inspire a deeper faith, a love for themselves that will lead to some wiser choices, and a love for others that will grow stronger relationships with their peers, with adults, and with the world around them. See, that, my friends, is why we call it XP3.